Hello, and welcome to And Now You Know. I'm Teresa, and tonight I'll be answering the question, who is Simon and why do we have to do what he says? The classic game of bossiness. Do what this Simon guy says or you're out. I liked the game well enough when I was a kid, but I hated it when after 15 rounds of Simon Says, wiggle your fingers, they drop the Simon Says and hit you with, wave your hands. It would get me every time. Then it was the worst game, and I hated Simon and his stupid orders. I may or may not have been a bit of a poor sport when I was a child. But who is he, and why do I have to listen to him? Their current name is theorized to be chosen simply because it's pleasant, rhythmic alliteration. But some historians believe the name may be inspired by two people. Some claim that the game is based off of the Roman orator and statesman Marcus Tullius Cicero. He was extremely influential, and the idea is that if he told you to do something, you did it. There are anecdotes of a game called Cicero dicit fac hoc, which means Cicero says, do this. But there's never been any actual documentation of that or a similar game existing during that time. The other claim is that it might be based off of Simon de Montfort. He was an English noble who defeated and imprisoned King Henry III after the Battle of Lewes. Since he imprisoned the king, that meant Simon's commands effectively overruled the king's. But just like Cicero, this theory is purely anecdotal and mostly just for fun. So I started wondering, if Simon Says isn't really based off of anyone or anything in particular, are there some children's games with actual history? Hopscotch. Around 1st to 4th centuries AD, Roman soldiers would sketch out massive courses in dirt to practice agility and balance while wearing their armor. Kids would watch the soldiers practice and naturally thought, boy, that looks like fun, and decided to make their own smaller scale version. Now, that sounds incredibly cute and believable, but in all actuality, it's myth. The real history dates back to the late 17th century. Francis Willoughby's Book of Games was the first to reference a game called Scotch Hop. However, the modern version, with numbered squares, a place marker, and hopping, that developed during the Victorian era. And adults loved playing the game just as much as kids did. Leapfrog. Leapfrog has its roots dating back to the late 1500s. Painter Peter Bruegel the Elder, yes, that was his real name, depicted the game in his painting Children's Games. Even William Shakespeare referenced it in King Henry V, where the king says the line, "If I could win a lady at leapfrog." There is no definitive time or civilization credited with inventing leapfrog, as records of similar games appear all over the world. Historians theorize this is just an example of parallel thinking. It's fun to jump over your friends like an animal, and kids eventually figure that out everywhere. Jacks. This game goes all the way back to prehistoric times. From then to about 5th century, the game was played using the toe bone of a sheep, as it's naturally four-sided. The Greeks and Romans were especially fond of this game. Children and adults played it often, and there are statues, paintings, and written records showing that it was hugely popular. During medieval times, stones, shells, and seeds were added. Later, the classic toss and grab motion was introduced. The game became known as checkstones, or jacks for short. Fast forward to the 19th century, immigrants introduced it to children in the US. American kids added the rubber ball, and that's when modern jacks was born. Tag. Tag has just as much history as jacks. The first written account comes from Greek writer Julius Pollux in his work Onomasticon. He described a game called Ostrakinda, which involved two teams divided by a line. Players would take opponents to switch sides. In ancient India, Kho-Kho dates back to more than 2,000 years. That version involved chain players chasing a single opponent. By the 17th century in Britain, the game evolved to the back-and-forth chasing style we recognize today. As the game evolved, so did the name. In Europe, the Scots called it Tig, the English Tick, and the Dutch Tikken. A popular myth claims tag is actually short for touch and go, but there's never been any proof of that. Most historians believe it's simply a natural evolution from Tig. Smear the queer. Okay, first things first, don't get all upset. I'll explain this in a second. If you're not familiar, this game involved a group of kids gathering around and throwing a ball in the air. Whoever caught it had to avoid getting tackled or dogpiled. If that person dropped the ball, whoever grabbed it next became the target. Lather, rinse, repeat. The name originally was not intended as a slur. It was the old definition of queer, meaning odd, because the person with the ball was the odd one out. This is a relatively modern game with origins roughly in the 1950s. Again, another example of parallel thinking. Get a bunch of rowdy kids with a ball at recess, and they're going to invent something. But because of the chaos of the game, schools started banning it due to frequent injuries. By the early 2000s, it was largely banned not only because of injury risk, but also because the name came to be seen as insensitive. And now you know. If you have any questions you'd like answered, feel free to send me a message on Twitter at ANYKShow or email me at andnowyouknowshow@gmail.com. Until next time.